Generative AI has gotten a lot of attention over the last year, with ChatGPT becoming super popular super fast. And there's no shortage of companies and individuals trying to take advantage of this promising new technology. Then I started seeing talks of the hottest new career in tech, and that is in prompt engineering, where sometime back there was actually a job posting for prompt engineering with just a humble salary of $375,000 a year. Better yet, you don't need a background in tech or even in programming. But is this even a legitimate career? Will there be more jobs in the future for prompt engineering? Or is it all a bunch of bullshit? In this video, I'm gonna tell you what I think about this job and whether it's just a lot of hype. If you want to learn more about it, stay tuned. First things first, what is prompt engineering? It is the practice of developing and refining prompts for generative AI tools to return more useful outputs. And if you're watching this video, you may already have a general idea of what that means. But if not, short of it is, if you're working with ChatGPT and you want to ask it a question, if you ask a question that is kind of vague or open-ended, then you're going to get a fairly general response. For example, write a marketing blurb about the new Tesla Cybertruck. You get a general message here, and ChatGPT will respond with what it thinks is going to be the most useful as a general message, general marketing copy. Versus you are a copywriter with expertise in the automotive industry. Your audience is blue-collar workers who already own and use trucks for their work. In this instance, you're getting quite a bit more specific by assigning ChatGPT a role, asking your question, and then telling it who it is writing this marketing blurb for. You'll get a much more targeted response. And you can see how this might be useful in developing marketing assets targeting specific audiences. So ChatGPT and platforms that leverage ChatGPT and other large language models can be incredibly powerful to answer questions and generate content very quickly. And the productivity improvements for companies can be substantial if used in the right way. And a prompt engineer, which as an aside, I think is a very exaggerated and pretentious title. Engineer to me implies a very sophisticated technical skill set. This is not, in my opinion. It is a useful skill, but it's also not all that complicated. In fact, that's a big benefit of large language models, is that it's not supposed to be complicated. It's supposed to be usable by the average person. You don't need to learn to code. But I digress. The headlines you've seen or might see in the near future suggest that there are more and more jobs dedicated to prompt engineering and that they pay extremely well. Here's the reality. There are not that many jobs out there for prompt engineers specifically. The ones that do exist are for senior level roles, for which there would be a ton of competition amongst people with a lot of education and experience in software engineering and programming. No one is going to hire anyone straight out of undergraduate college at a $375K salary. And lastly, there's really not a lot of growth in roles for prompt engineering as a singular role. Nor do I think there will ever be any kind of meaningful growth in a role like that. And unfortunately, I don't see this really being a career in any way, shape, or form, because while it is a very useful skill, it is one that is fairly easy to pick up and learn. But more importantly, the skill set of prompt engineering shouldn't exist in isolation. It's very dependent upon the context of the business. For example, the types of questions and answers needed in the accounting department of a company is going to be very different than the marketing department. The kind of content both of those departments would generate are going to be very different. For a company to have a job posting of prompt engineer suggests that that person would be a generalist, which to me doesn't make really any sense at all. That's like hiring for the job title of Microsoft Excel user. Makes no sense. Microsoft Excel is a tool, just like ChatGPT is a tool. And the expertise of the person in that context. Someone that is not an accountant trying to generate or get some response from ChatGPT about accounting will not be able to generate good responses, but the person wouldn't even know if the responses were correct to begin with because they're not an accountant. Same goes for marketing. A skilled marketer would know what good copy would look like. There's nuances to accounting, there's nuances to marketing, there's nuances to a lot of these businesses that unless you have an expert in those positions, you can't make good use out of generative AI. Generative AI is not perfect, and humans, thankfully, are still needed to verify the responses, make sure they're correct. So all that said, what's more likely to happen is that prompt engineering will be a necessary skill for just about anyone to have, and will be required in just about every role. Just like using spreadsheets like Microsoft Excel or text editors like Microsoft Word, which used to be, and I think in still a lot of cases, are listed as skills on a resume. In the future, if not now, prompt engineering may be what you put in your skill set in your resume, assuming you have experience and or verifiable education in those skills. And if you want to learn more about how to develop your skills in prompt engineering, there are a handful of great courses to check out on Coursera, and you can explore the links down below for some options. Now, if you want to learn about artificial intelligence and machine learning, make sure to check out this next video where I will document my journey on how I'm approaching learning about AI and ML through the University of Texas postgraduate program. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.